Okay, so now let me share my screen and we'll go through a lot of the links that I have set up. And we will record on screen 2. And I will share sound. Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, I see the Zoom tab.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the things that just came out, you've probably heard the word metaverse and meta this and meta that and meta, and oh my gosh, it's going to be like the one phrase that's going to kill people or make them revile every time they hear the word meta now. Well, love or hate Facebook, they do have a lot of money to spend on different things, and they do want to be at the forefront of anything metaverse related. Surprise. But one of the things that they are sponsoring is this idea of metaphor creators. So what they're trying to do is find a lot of people to create content to go into the metaverse. They haven't really discussed, to my knowledge, any kind of royalty programs or licensing programs. You may or may not have heard of this word NFT being floated about on different things as a way of securing rights for artists to still maintain control of some of their works and their branding and their trademarks and things like that. But it is interesting that this is going to be the first of many companies wanting to sponsor creators to create content, either using existing digital content creation tools or new tools that some of these companies are going to be providing. So this just recently came out, and I'd like to see about, if anyone has anybody ever signed up for this or gotten into it or looked at it or anything like that? It was a fairly new announcement. I'm still on Facebook myself, so the fact that I've got my toe in the pond, I might jump in, give it a try, kick the tires, and see what's what. All right, so switching gears to another one is this one called Oculus for Business. I looked at this a while back, and I know John did too. It was a very expensive program for enterprise customers. It was essentially using a Quest and now a Quest 2 for commercial applications where you could get near real-time support and things like that. But it was a very expensive program. And right now, it is Oculus for Business is no more. Now welcome Interstage Left Quest for Business. So what they're trying to do is reduce some of the good and the bad, trying to reduce some of the good, mitigate against the bad, and try to do away with the ugly of what happened with the Oculus for Business program. It sounds like they got some traction, but they didn't get a whole lot of traction. So they're really trying to come at it again this time. So what's different? It sounds like this is going to be another long beta program. It's not going to be generally available to businesses until 2023. So this entire year, they're going to be working on this program. One of the new things that I'm interested in, and I'm still very curious about the cost on this, is this mobile device management, MDM. I use a company called ManageXR, and it's a piece of software that allows you to initially, hardwire connect your Quest 2 in developer mode to a desktop computer. You set things up, but then once you unplug it, you can then remotely deploy anything you create through their program. And they just had a recent update on it that allows far more granularity to be able to do things on that. But it allows you to wirelessly push content to a Quest 2 in developer mode. And so I'm curious how mobile device management is going to work, whether Quest for Business is going to roll their own, whether they're going to buy ManageXR, whether they're going to license manage XR, or whether they're just going to be, kind of go back to, their modus operandi of getting inspired by someone and then doing something on their own that looks very, very, very similar to what somebody else has already done. So that remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out when we see it. All right, let me check one thing here. Looking good so far. Okay, so one of the things that has been on my mind and things that I've thought about for a long time is what is the future of the film industry going to be looking like, especially with regards to using game engines to assist with film production, specifically virtual film production. So virtual film production is a technique where they are combining the use of game engines with physical sets with real actors, but with massive LED walls and a lot of green screen type of technologies in the background. So what it allows a film studio to do is to dramatically reduce the cost and the complexity and moving pieces and parts and timelines to do short films and animations, product demos, marketing demos. So there's a lot of different applications for virtual film production outside of what we would normally think of filmmaking. So as most of you may or may not know, I also help lead the Denver Boulder Unreal Engine group. Small group, but mighty. We do a lot of things. We look at the use of Unreal Engine for many different things. But what I wanted to point out real quick is within virtual production is that they now have 2 volumes available for download, volume 1 and recently published volume 2. So if you're into filmmaking and you're curious about how a game engine can make things better, what you can do with it, that's what you can learn about this. At least just see, what could a video game engine do to help facilitate filmmaking and some potential applications for that. Okay, so with that, I've got a segment of a video that I want to be able to show. This runs about 2 minutes. I'm starting it at the 2-minute 40-second mark. It's about a 10-minute video. This is going to showcase some of the capabilities of Unreal Engine 5. And what they've done is they've worked with a couple different film studios to do some editing work. But what you need to understand is what you're about to see is done completely in a video game engine. All of the visuals, all of the humans that you're going to see from the Matrix, these are all using the new MetaHuman technology, which is it's a digital persona where you have an actor's voice and they rig up a person with all their facial expressions and everything like that to show a literal human likeness. So once we get past the first couple of seconds, everything else past that is going to be completely done in engine. And then at the 5-minute mark, I'll stop it and then we'll chat about it for a couple seconds. So what you're about to see is going to be a pretty intense car chase, some dialogue between Neo and Trinity, and introducing a new character. And if you've ever looked at some of the metahumans, this is the first metahuman lady that was created, and then they created an entire character based on her. And then it's going to go into the car chase, and you're going to see a bunch of shooting and things like that. So it's going to be an intense 2 minutes. So just I don't know what your volume is like. So just a quick heads up on that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start this. And like I said, we'll let this run for about 2 minutes, and then I'll let it stop, and we'll chat about it. And then I'll talk a little bit more right after that about some of the augmented reality applications of how some of this technology can be used. All right, so here we go.
In a completely digital world, And what would reality mean when a world we can build feels as real as our own?
What just happened?
Yeah, this is what they wanted. They said they were fine with your theoretical mumbo jumbo, but they needed some sexy action.
Who said?
The marketing people.
Marketing? I thought we were supposed to have total creative control.
Welcome to the Matrix.
You still got it.
Like riding a bike, they say.
I sometimes miss this version of us.
Me too.
The hell are you doing back there?
Sorry, I was told this is a sim preparing me to fight the system.
Right on. Do you know about this?
Yeah. It's all supposed to be a little unreal.
Word of advice. Agents are bad. But whatever you do, stay the hell away from marketing. See you soon.
So, what now?
Haven't you ever watched a movie before? Shoot the tires.
Say no more. Keep them off us. You drive. I'll shoot. Dodge this.
All right, so I think you all get the idea on that. So a few things I wanted to mention about that is, for one, wow, that's pretty amazing to think that's all done inside of a video game engine. If you look real close, you can tell some of the visuals don't quite match, like the lip syncing. That's like the hardest thing to do. So if you rewatch it closely and you look at their lips, you can see a little bit of a disconnect. And then some of the, specific details you really have to be looking for. But if you look at, like when the cars flip over, if you look at the treads, you'll see it's more of a generic type of a looking thing. So there's some things done in game that are not obviously photorealistic as a real full-blown CGI movie would do. But oh my gosh, for a video game engine, I think that's just amazing. So Unreal Engine 5 is definitely to throw down the gauntlet with regards to filmmaking, and also with the future of what virtual reality can look like in addition to video games themselves. Any questions or comments on that?
I would think that with all the trouble that's happened with Alec Baldwin and that shooting, there's going to be a whole lot more pressure to move away from humans because of the dying. I mean, it's coming.
Yeah, so they're still going to be doing actors on set, and one of the interviews I saw with some actors is some of them were like scared this is going to replace them, that they're going to be out of a job. And what came out of that is that actors who lean into this new genre, as it were, it's going to allow them to be in many more places than once, because most actors are usually working on a film at a time, one film at a time. With this kind of technology, however, they can be working on many different sets, and it's really their voice, and that's really they're going to be their golden asset, because you can have different looking characters all the time, but you can have different voices. And so actors who are interested in using this technology, they just have to figure out, how they can leverage it to do things better that they already do now. And then what new opportunities does it open up for them that It simply just was not available previously. But yeah, you're going to start seeing several movies coming out in the future. That's going to be completely done in a video game engine. Blowing this up on a big screen, I don't know how well that will translate, but from some of the demos that I've seen so far, I think we're just at the beginning of this. But I think it's got a very long road ahead of it, especially with just how realistic things look right now. Okay, so with that, I wanted to mention Mojo Vision. I've mentioned Mojo Vision in the past. This is an augmented reality system, and it is the size of a contact lens. And you might be thinking, okay, how do you do electronics inside of a contact lens? I mean, how does that actually work? It is going to require a smartphone in the loop. You are going to have to charge the lenses. They're dealing with very, very tiny batteries on this, but they are going to be contact lenses that you will place in your eyes, and you will wear them throughout the day. If you are a fan of The Expanse, you'll kind of get a taste of what some of this looks like some of the spies in the sci-fi movie, the sci-fi series, The Expanse, projects information into their visual realm, even though they're wearing contact lenses, what looks like contact lenses. In addition to that, right now, they're using just the color green because doing colors inside of such a teeny tiny little object, and we'll look at that in a moment. So right now, green is fine. And what this does is this will project something in your visual field of view that you can see with decent clarity. And some people have said, well, what about virtual reality with Mojo Vision? How do you do virtual reality? Well, as the saying goes, you just close your eyes, and now you have virtual reality with contact lenses. Virtual reality to work, I think they do have to work on different colors instead of just looking at a monochrome green. But it is an amazing piece of technology. And as you can see here, this runner is looking at information about where she is, her run. It can also provide real-time information like heart rate and oxygen, for instance. It's a very, very tiny, amazing piece of technology. And so they're working with research scientists, ophthalmologists, doctors. They've got a huge backing of things. And in fact, they just recently announced Mojo Vision also just received another $45 million round of funding for things. And again, this can be for commercial use, for consumer use. They're still a couple years away from it, but it's amazing to see what this technology is capable of. One of the individuals I follow on Twitter, it goes by the handle Scared Ghost, and he had a chance to demo this. Now, he did not have a chance to put the contact lenses themselves into his eye, but they do have some prototype hands-on units that they do have a chance to play with. And just like the diagram showed, the electronics are all around your iris, but it is your lens that is still open, and that is the part of your eye that allows light to come in. And you can also, being able to dilate your pupil as well. It's just amazing you can make a battery system and sensors in something that small. But so here's the timeline. They started off in 2017. It's going to be feature complete this year or next year, and then the first product is going to be coming out in just 1 or 2 years after that. Like I said, they're mainly just focusing on the sensors to show green on the screen, but RGB is in the mix to be able to do that. So this is how big the display is. This is a Ladybug, about 10 millimeters. a centimeter. So this is a teeny tiny display. It's, not even half a millimeter in size, which is amazing that you could actually shrink some technology that close into it. So Mojo Vision is something that's going to be very interesting to watch from an augmented reality perspective. I think folks might be averse to sticking a piece of technology in their eye, but they are working very hard to be sure that this is something that works and feels just like a contact lens. Any questions or comments on that?
This looks like a really interesting piece of technology. I'm just wary of attaching anything of a power source to my eye. So it'll take me a while before I even want to experiment with this.
Yeah, me too. And you definitely don't want to risk permanent damage or anything like that, because you were only given one pair of eyes when you were born, and getting eye replacements is not something I want to go through either. I will tell you that they have looked at what it would take to use the human body's own electrical signals and fields. So they are looking at that. So if they are able to power this thing through some form of bioelectric signal, that's something that could eliminate the hazards relating to any type of a micro battery. So yeah, so they're looking at it. It's on their horizon, and probably by the time this thing gets released, I'd be willing to bet that they do have some kind of bioelectric thing. It's just my guess. But wow, amazing world we live in. Anybody else?
No, the only is this is going to be like a interface attached to where you're looking for. So this will work like in VR, that when you lose the tracking and the UI follow you where you look. And I don't know, this is the people like this way or support, because in VR or whatever, when something in front of you, and you try to look for some places when you don't like to see the interface, and this interface is going to be following you in every moment. So I don't know how the people go to react to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
is there a way? Do they have a way to like look away from the interface? That would be cool.
But this is going to be attached to your eyes, so there's no way. The only way to do that is to hide or turn off the interface.
Well, it does require a smartphone in the loop, and they probably do have some type of sequence, or a maybe you look in a Z pattern, or some other type of thing that says turn it off, even if you can't fiddle with your smartphone. But yes, you have a smartphone in the loop, and that will control not only the software but also some of the other interactions, data storage, and things like that. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to all work together. All right, so switching gears to other hardware. I'm curious, did anybody get some new hardware during the Christmas/holiday season? And if so, what'd you get and how do you like it?
I got my first VR headset. I got an Oculus 2, so I'm just getting used to it now.
Nice.
Pretty cool. I'm not that into games, but I like. I was in one of the apps that it kind of comes with that's free, where you can kind of watch movies and have meetings. I thought that, like, the boardroom demo was pretty crazy. I mean, it doesn't really seem like, unless you had a sensitive meeting, it doesn't seem like you'd really need anything other than that in the future.
Yeah. So we've looked at big screen VR, and Oculus has their own version of it. So the idea is to be able to, wear a headset comfortably for several hours during the day. The only drawback is that the Quest 2 battery life is limited. You can't go 8 hours without having a significant battery pack on the back of your head, and it also acts as a counterbalance. But the other part of that too, and we'll talk about pass through here in a moment. But yeah, do you still use a physical wireless Bluetooth that's connected to the Quest 2 headset with a wireless Bluetooth physical keyboard, or do you use pass through and it's just projected and then you work with it on a flat surface, or do you just have it look at your hands? Because using controllers to do things, that's hard. Typing with pass through, that's still hard. So I still think they have some UI aspects to continue to work on, but that is the vision. They want to be able to figure out, how can you look at a massive field of view all day long and to be able to see lots of things going on at once all day long. So
Yeah, I didn't think it was so much ready as I couldn't believe how far it had come since the last time I tried VR. As far as, like, I heard Bill Gates talking about in the future, not too distant future, that we'll be having meetings that way. And I thought, you're just kind of wishful thinking. But then I saw that, and it's just kind of like how you can share the screen and do whiteboarding and stuff like that. It's pretty amazing. Do you have any? Do you guys have any recommendations for an Oculus 2 new person? Things to check out.
yeah, in fact, let me see if I can pull this up. I think it was Upload VR I think it was Upload VR. If not, it was one of the other ones. That's first. So here you go. So this link I'll share, but if you go to Upload VR and just do a search like I did for best Quest 2, and this was a recently updated list. Some of these you have to buy, but a lot of them are free. But yeah, if you just want to have a good taste for things across many different genres, by all means, take a look at some of these. Some of them are kind of old, but some of them are really cool. In addition to, have you heard of SideQuest yet?
I have not.
So SideQuest does require you to turn your Quest 2 into developer mode. And once you log in, you can do that from your phone. And then you've got to check a couple buttons inside the headset itself. So SideQuest allows you to sideload many different applications. Some of them are demos, some of them are free, some of them are very low cost, but they've got an incredible library now. So don't think that you're only limited to the Oculus Store only. There are other ways of getting great, cool applications on your Quest 2 headset.
Are there places that are safe to explore those kind of things, or like, is there much risk to it?
I mean, it's as far as software compatibility or doing
just side loading something. Is there anything malicious going on or anything to worry about with that yet?
I haven't myself personally. So there's the Oculus Store. There's also the Oculus App Store. So the Oculus App Store is a curated version. Let me put this in a different way. So the Oculus Store is a heavily curated, highly vetted thing. Anything you get on the store, you can rest assured it's not going to mess up your headset or even risk it. The Oculus App Store is a not as heavily curated. It still has to go through a vetting process, but the Oculus App Store allows you to install other applications. And because they're vetted and they go through their Oculus testing procedure, I wouldn't think anything would go wrong with any of that. The only drawback though with the Oculus App Store is you have to have the URL ahead of time. And I know that might sound kind of weird, but that's how it's designed. It's almost like having an unlisted YouTube video where you can share the video all day long, but no one's going to accidentally stumble across it unless it's advertised on it. SideQuest, when you switch it to developer mode, it doesn't, put your headset at risk for malicious software. I mean, it still has to go through a baking process. I have not heard of any viruses or anything bad happening when something is in developer mode. I'm open to hear about anybody else having problems with SideQuest. So I
Someone-
hope that
One last question. If someone was interested in getting into the development aspect, where would you recommend they begin?
So there's, if you want to do it on the Quest 2 itself, there's really 3 venues available to you. One is the Unity game engine, which is free for individual use. I'm not up on their licensing or royalty programs for commercial development at this time. I think it's pretty low, and I think they've really come down in cost on that. The other one is Unreal Engine, which I use, and we have other Unity developers here within our group. And then you have the software development kit itself. Like if you want to do extreme low-level things and roll your own type of thing, you can use the Oculus SDK. So Unity, Unreal Engine, and the SDK. There are some things that you can do quickly, and that is one of the things, as I mentioned at the top. If we can meet in person once a quarter, that is something I would like to be able to do. Is like, hey, I've got this headset. I don't have a lot of technical skills, but I wanted to be able to do something simple in less than an hour. Show me how to create something in less than an hour and deploy it to my headset. So I'd like to be able to have some sessions like that. And it really helps to do that in person when you've got physical access to the device and you can look over someone's shoulder to do that.
Cool.
Just realize that it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also the WebXR, which we've demoed at this meetup a few times, which is an interesting approach because you can just publish to the web, and then anyone with the headset can go to the URL and do it that way. So it's kind of a way to bypass that whole process. So that's another development option if you're more of a web person, or if you want to be able to share it more easily.
Is that also I've kind of done a little setup to start trying it out. Is the WebXR in there? Is that cross-platform so you can?
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another technology, real quick. If you do a search on a pixel streaming is going to be a huge area for VR development simply because you don't have to install any software. So it's a little bit more involved than WebXR, but it's just streaming the pixels across an internet connection. And again, the benefit is that you don't have to install any software. All you need is a URL, and you've got literally a fire-breathing dragon living in the cloud,
Oh, wow.
breathing pixels down to you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Glad you're here. All right, so the other announcement is something that many folks have been waiting for, is when is PlayStation going to upgrade or have a new version of the PSVR? Lo and behold, at CES, they did confirm that they are going to build PSVR for PlayStation 5. So they're calling it PSVR 2, which is now its official name. Whether it comes out in 2022 or in time for the Christmas season later this year remains to be seen. The good news is that existing PSVR games that people have already purchased can be played on PSVR 2, but the other way, you can't do it. You can't run a PSVR 2 game on a PSVR. So for people who have a Sony PlayStation and want to do VR, this is great news. And PSVR 2 running on a PlayStation 5 is going to offer an incredible amount of performance. And if you look at these specs, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's better than the Quest 2 right now. They've got, high refresh rates, better field of views. Here's an interesting thing. They do have eye tracking, but they don't have hand tracking, which seems odd to me. And you'll see the controllers here in a moment, but with a lot of folks focusing on pass-through technology, I thought that was an interesting thing that they're not including. It is going to be wired. They've teased about having it wireless, and if they do, it's probably be like Airlink, as I mentioned earlier. It's kind of weird that you do inside-out tracking with they do inside-out tracking, but they don't do pass-through, even though it's technically the very similar type of sensors. It is going to have vibration in the haptics, but check out these controllers. Doesn't that look cool? So it's almost like like a full half moon controller, like the Oculus Touch when it first came out. They did say it is going to have some conductive touches on some of the buttons and things like this, so you can tell how hard you're pushing it instead of just activating a button. So I thought that was pretty cool. It is going to have the Halo style headset, which can flip up and flip down. So it's going to not use these the original controllers. So yes, PSVR 2 is going to be coming. Any questions or comments on that?
It was interesting that it said foveated rendering. I know that there's been some experiments with that, but I guess that'll be the big the first sort of mainstream one that has that. Is that right?
I think so, if I read that right. And now that people are selling prescription lenses for Quest 2, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do something similar on this, because normally you have a console for a home. You don't have multiple consoles in a home. And so if you can have multiple people using it, you want them to have the best experience possible. And so, having custom lenses that can pop in and pop out of some of these things, I think would be a huge win for them as well. So good comment. Okay, so next up is this announcement that Project Cambria, and they've kind of teased this a little bit in the past, but they finally are talking about a couple of different things and where it sits. So Project Cambria is going to be the new wired headset that's going to replace the Rift. The Rift came out and it's great. The Rift S came out and it was a little bit better, but I honestly don't know that many people that actually went out and bought a Rift S unless they couldn't buy the original Rift. It is going to be, it looks, a lot like a HoloLens. If I don't say so, it's got, the rear heavy set battery. It's also got the twist on the back of it. The big news is that some people said, okay, is this going to replace the Quest 2? The answer is no. John Carmack has made that very clear, that it's not a Quest 2 killer. It's not a replacement for the Quest 2, that the Quest 2 is still going to have quite a long life ahead of it. And there's been rumors of a Quest Pro that could be coming out on the horizon, again, for, aiming for the enterprise. So, maybe that's, part of their strategy of the Quest for business, is that they could be the first ones to do a closed beta testing of a Quest Pro. So, there's a lot of things to be reading in the tea leaves here. But if we look at this real quick, this the teaser on this, and apologize, it's kind of fuzzy. This is coming from the other website. You can see that they're using, in that case, they're using the pass-through hand controllers. They're not using the actual controllers themselves, and you're pinching and dragging and moving things around. It does offer eye tracking inside the headset. So that was just a bit of a tease on that. What is its price going to be? I'm just guessing it's probably going to be $500 and up. I don't think it's going to be a loss leader for Facebook/Meta. I think they're going to be, aiming for this headset to be used, worn all the time for people who want to do work for several hours in VR. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. All right, so switching gears to the HTC Vive Flow that was announced. All these different headsets. It's amazing what age we're living in. I remember just a handful of years back, people didn't have headsets, and I'm looking at my collection, and I'm probably going to unplug my Rift and put it back in its original box and put it on the shelf with the rest of the headsets that I no longer use anymore. So the HTC Vive Flow, it is available now for $500. So it was released at the end of last month. This is a 6 degree of freedom. It does offer pass-through. It's fairly light, but this is not a wireless system. This is designed to be a wired 6 degree of freedom headset. It doesn't use the Lightroom technology like the original Vive did. So they've come a long way. Same with Oculus with regards to their inside-out tracking via sensors and or internal cameras. It is equipped with a Bluetooth, and I don't see the chipset here. The RAM is 4 gigabytes of RAM with 64 gigabytes of storage, which seems rather small. I mean, I just got the Quest 2 here a few months back, and I got the 128 gigabyte version at a decent price. So why they went so thrifty on internal storage, I have no idea. So I'm not sure about that. Looks like decent battery capacity, but yeah, I like the design. It looks really light. It's very form-fitting. So will I be getting one? I think I'm going to be waiting until Cambria comes out, and then I'll probably make a decision then. So any questions or comments on Cambria or HTC Vive Flow? All right. So they did have a review on it, and again, I'm going to be sharing all these links post presentation tonight. So they do talk about who is this market for? What can you do with it? So it does, require a very highly specific list of Android phones, and that they are potentially looking at using iPhones or laptop support here in the future. So it does use the Type-C connector, which most new headsets only use. They don't use the old flat style connector anymore. So the article does go into a lot more specifics and things you can do with it, some comparisons to other headsets, but it is a really cool looking headset. I mean, I really like the design, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It is interesting that you do have to use a smartphone as a controller for a wired headset, which is kind of interesting. It does have to be wired to the smartphone itself. What's odd to me is that, according to the website, it uses a Snapdragon XR1 chip. That's a rather old chip in use right now. My Quest 1 was equipped with the XR1 chip. The Quest 2 and Vive Focus 3, they both use the XR2 Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. Most of the other wireless headsets use the XR2 chipset as well. So I don't know if this was a cost-saving measure or if this was a software optimization measure, but that just really kind of jumped out at me as, why are you using an older chip in the headset? But they do have, a decent library of applications. Yeah, so I'd encourage you, if this interests you, to at least read the article and familiarize yourself with it. I do like the look on it, and it does look like a very lightweight headset for things. Or
used for streaming from the so the rendering will be using on the phone, the storage on the phone, and streaming to the headset. On this way, you don't need a powerful CPU on the headset.
yeah, I'm not sure how that works. If the smartphone app has to be running the entire time
Yeah,
that you're using the headset, or if it's using the smartphone
for
as
control.
a battery. I didn't see how many other connectors are on
Yeah.
the headset, but it does require a wired connection for power to work for sure. So, okay, and just recently announced, speaking of Qualcomm, they did announce what sounds similar, but it's different, is that they just recently announced that they're creating a AR platform using the XR2. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the same XR2 chip, or if it's going to be a separate chip optimized for augmented reality, or maybe this is just all done completely in software. But they just announced that they have a new XR developer platform. So if you're into augmented reality and you want to explore some of these things, by all means, I'm going to sign up for this myself just to keep abreast of what's going on. But augmented reality is one of those things that it's been very expensive to do in the past. We have seen HoloLens, we've seen HoloLens 2, we've seen Magic Leap. We have not seen the new Magic Leap in person. Tilt 5 is another augmented reality system, but that's mainly aimed for gaming with friends in the same room, things like that. But very low, inexpensive cost augmented reality headsets has been an elusive goal. There is Unreal is around the corner. I've seen some of that, and that gentleman I mentioned earlier, Scared Ghost on Twitter, he has a pretty good review of what it takes to build and deploy something to the Unreal headset. And just to pronounce that correctly, it is the letter N Real headset. It's not like Unreal headset. It's just the letter N Real headset. All right, and then another announcement related to this type of setup is a partnership between Qualcomm and Microsoft was just announced today at CES. So it's curious to see how this collaboration is going to work. Microsoft has invested an incredible amount of money developing their own technologies related to the HoloLens system. So for them to say, hey, we want to jump in with Qualcomm on augmented reality using this new platform, that'll be interesting. And when I say interesting, that's a fairly loaded term. Has anybody ever tried an Xbox virtual reality headset? That's a trick question, because there is no Xbox virtual reality headset. And people have speculated for a long time, Microsoft, Sony's knocking it out of the park, selling a lot of PSVR headsets. Where is the Xbox version? And so, maybe this is how Microsoft is finally going to get into it. Will it be an augmented reality headset connected to Xbox? Again, that's speculation on my part, but it does make you wonder about their collaboration with Qualcomm all of a sudden, or maybe this is just a formal announcement and they've been working on something behind the scenes for a long time, and they're going to release something or try to beat PSVR 2 to the punch. It's anybody's guess. But I thought that was pretty curious myself. Any questions or comments on that?
I hope they come out with something that's cost effective for the average user. That's all I have to say about that. Their HoloLens device was way too expensive for the average individual.
Yeah, and they're not designed for consumer use at all. It's mainly enterprise level. And I was extremely tempted when they offered financing for the HoloLens 2, but it's still $3,500 spread out over 2 years. And there's been speculation on the HoloLens 3 coming around the corner. So is this a lease program where you get to, you know, upgrade to a HoloLens 3 if you're part of that program? I'm still trying to be thrifty with my money, and I'm not just going to throw money on something just so I can have it if I'm not going to have some commercial application for it. So yeah, I agree. It needs to be something affordable that consumers can play with, because the more numbers of your user base that you can get using your system, the switching cost begins to increase, especially as they spend more money, not only on hardware, but also on all the games and experiences that they choose to pay for using your platform. But yeah, I agree. It's got to be something affordable, and I hope they can make that happen. All right, and again, I'm going to be sharing these links on the post email. One of the websites that I've referred to in the past and that I go to just to kind of see what's what and what's on the horizon is vr-compare.com. You can see and do comparisons amongst all of the different headsets. And again, this is mainly focused on virtual reality. There's not a AR compare that I've seen, although I would think they would. There should be, even though technically they do talk about some of these other minor headsets, but they don't talk about all the major ones out there. And you can sort this by manufacturer. And there's a lot of these manufacturers. A lot of them are obviously based out of China. Some of these headsets I've never even heard of. I've never even seen. I still have a Pico Neo 2 that I kind of mess around with once in a while, but that's the only non-Oculus piece of equipment that I have. And you can see just all these different headsets that are coming out. I mean, 2 years ago, this was a fairly small website. They didn't have a whole lot of headsets. Now, seems like everybody's coming out with a headset, or something that's proprietary or highly specific, or something that's they're just trying to see if there's a market for things. They want to put something in people's hands and see if they can get some traction and adoption. And again, Microsoft, okay, you got the HoloLens 2 and the original HoloLens. You don't have any other headsets. Where's your other headsets, Microsoft? And Google. Speaking of which, I saw an article the other day where Google Glass, or the successor to Google Glass, could be in the works. So is Google going to be getting back into this space? That's a really funny question, because there was a lot of hype around Google Glass when it first came out. People really liked it, but then it just went away. They came out with Google Daydream, which you could buy a Google Pixel phone, stick it in the headset, much like the Gear VR did with Samsung phones, and you had a 3 degree of freedom headset. And then they killed off Daydream. So Google currently does not have any type of virtual reality headset. So whether they're going to come out with something else, who knows? I guess we'll see. But anyway, this is a site I definitely like going to, and just kind of seeing what's coming around the corner. Some of these are announcements. Again, some of them are available for purchase. Sometimes they announce it, but then it's like, okay, well, when can I buy this kind of a thing? And then sometimes these things get pulled from the market, either due to they didn't get the right licensing technology, they couldn't get the manufacturing costs down. I mean, there's a wide variety of reasons why headsets come and go. I will say that I adamantly believe competition is a good thing. I hate to see just 1 or 2 companies dominate the market, because they tend to throw their weight around. As much as I love Oculus, if there's something better, cheaper, that makes sense financially, by all means, bring it on. I think competition is a good thing. Okay. So any questions or comments on any hardware before we move on? Nope. Okay. So I mentioned pass-through. Pass-through is a technology that uses both the sensors and cameras mounted on the outside of a headset. Some of these are visible, some of these are invisible, meaning they're behind either a type of screen or a very thin layer of generally plastic in front of things. Most of them are forward facing. I've never seen a rear facing sensor setup just yet. So, excuse me. So pass-through offers some really unique capabilities, and with regards to the Quest 2, they have opened it up. It is available both on Unity and on Unreal Engine and on their SDK to play with pass-through. And what pass-through does is allows you to see the real world around you, and you're still able to interact inside of virtual reality. So it's not quite, or you could look at it as a type of augmented reality, but you're still using a virtual reality headset. And that might sound kind of weird. It's like I'm using a virtual reality headset, but I'm doing augmented reality stuff. And some people have tried to push some of the manufacturers to say, look, I don't want to buy separate headsets. Just let me buy one headset that can do both. Well, there's different use cases for that, and you have different costs associated with it and different capabilities. So one headset that can do everything, I think, is still on the horizon. But it is fascinating to me to see just how far you can push pass-through technology. So Unity came up with this mixed reality demo, and it is coming to Quest this year. So I'll show what this is. Let's see, make this big screen. So what I want you to look at and notice is when this video plays, and it's a fairly short video, but this gray area that you see, this is the physical room that you are in when this is running. And then in the center, what they've done is they've created a augmented reality flat surface that people can do stuff with. And these are other people in the room wearing Quest 2 headsets. So I hope that makes sense. So let me play this and just take a look. So pretty cool. Again, it's black and white. It doesn't have quite the nice colorful fidelity that the Tilt 5 demos that I have seen for playing games. But you know what? For a Quest 2 headset, I think that's pretty amazing. All right. So we have another pass-through demo I want to show. There's a puzzle game called Cubism that's available for Quest 2, and I can show this. And let's see. Here's somebody moving a lot of items around. Would you mind muting, if you don't mind, please? All right, thank you. So Cubism pass-through is now available for Quest headsets, and again, this just got announced today. So this is pass-through on this application, and this one I can't zoom it because it's coming through on a Twitter link, but we'll just take a look at this. What I'll tell you ahead of time is that what they're doing is that they're normally with a Quest 2 controller, you need to set the ground level. Where are your feet? And so in order to set the Guardian system up, you take the Quest controller, you touch it on the ground, and then you're set up on the Guardian system to play games and do whatever. Here, what they're doing is that they're taking the Quest 2 controller and they're touching it to the desktop surface on purpose to set the ground level of the game. And then you'll see them playing the game using just their hands. So they'll set the controller off to the side, and then you'll see them just using their hands to manipulate the puzzle pieces. So there's no sound on this, but we'll go ahead and just watch it and chat about it. So you can see he's dragging the UI down to the surface, then he sets the controllers to the side. And again, it's, you know, black and white on the sensors, but within the game itself, it's in color. So it's like the UI is in black and white, but the game is in color. And I know that might sound kind of weird. So think of it like a 3D Tetris. So what do y'all think about that?
Personally, I like the level setting and how easy they've made it. That's really cool. Just to know that you can get started in just a few seconds of any game is really, really awesome, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be able to, you know, use any flat surface around you, that's pretty cool. It's like, wow, you know, any flat surface can be a gaming surface to play and to build things. So yeah, I don't have Cubism myself. I'm still reeling from holiday purchases. So it's either Puzzle Pieces or Puzzle Palace is on my list. Cubism is also on my list, because I just think that's some really cool tech. And it's like, I want to do a pass through on a game. That just looks so much fun. All right, so moving on. So there was a title that won Best of Game Awards. This is another one of these rather scary games to play in virtual reality. This is a game I'd like to get myself to. Resident Evil 4 wins Best Virtual Reality AR at the Game Awards earlier in December, which is really cool. I mean, hats off to them. It is an incredibly addictive game. And I think some folks are really excited by it. Some folks are really scared by it. The other one is a game called Medal of Honor, Above and Beyond for Quest 2 is also available. I've heard some good things about that, but I think for some people, they think the Quest 2 should show desktop quality virtual reality graphics. And I think people are under the conception that it should be that way. You know, I'm just fascinated that they can get so much power in a smartphone type of electronics to drive a wireless system. Because I've heard some comments with regards to Medal of Honor that's it's like, well, it's not as good as the PC version and blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, you're playing this on a wireless headset for $300. You know, what are you complaining about? But that's just me. I haven't played Medal of Honor myself. I've got other games to keep me busy, but between that and the Alex game from Half-Life, those are some other ones that I'd like to be able to get at some point in the future. So the last one I wanted to mention is I haven't gotten into it. I've seen a lot of chatter about it on Twitter. I don't know if this is going to be a fad, but has anybody heard of this thing called Wordle?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
I played it once just to check it out, but it seems like it's, you know, after you solve it, it has this little colored grid. It seems like those are all over Twitter. I don't know if this is one of those 15 minutes of fame. Tails or what?
Yeah. I have not played it myself. I am curious
It's
about these type
basically
of
like
things.
Mastermind, but with words.
Mastermind, but with words.
If you're familiar with
Okay.
what Mastermind.
Yep, I used to be really good at that. And the problem was is I always use the same algorithm. You know, I never, once I figured out the algorithm, I didn't
Well, with
change
this,
it
it's a
much.
word, so it's not quite as straightforward as, you know, it has to be an actual English word, a 5-letter word. So
Can't be
you
some
can't-
made
can't
up word.
necessarily, no. I mean, and then I think part of the draw is everybody gets the same word every day, so everyone in the world is competing with the same little puzzle, and it takes, you know, a minute or a couple of minutes or whatever.
Okay.
I guess that's the appeal. I'm not totally sure, but
Yeah. So the reason I mention it is because, you know, it sounds like what you just said. It could be a 15-minute of fame, or it could be the next highly addictive, you know, Sudoku using words, but not, you know, instead of numbers and things like that, in addition to visual blocks. I did see somebody posted that they're playing Wordle in their Quest 2 browser. So imagine that. So you're playing Wordle on this huge, massive screen in front of you. So instead of on your phone. So there you go. Okay, so that's pretty much all I had for this evening. I know that's quite a whirlwind tour for the start of 2022. I am interested in any kind of feedback I can do to make this better, to get more enjoyment out of these types of meetings, ideas for new types of things. I'm looking forward to an in-person once a quarter on a Saturday, just to be able to not only just, you know, see some demos, but also be able to, you know, show me how to do something completely from scratch. I think that's really going to be appealing to many people, or even just to new users. Like the gentleman, I believe his name was Cole, indicated earlier that, hey, I just got this thing, show me some neat, cool stuff. You know, show me a wide variety of different things. You know, what other types of things can you do with this fantastic piece of technology? It's still giddy to me whenever I do demos myself for things that I have created, and you put a headset on somebody for the first time, and they try it out, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" I mean, I can turn my head and look around, you know, because so many people are just so focused on looking straight ahead at their computer monitor, and the fact you can look at things all around you, up and down and behind you is just amazing. Then also that since it's 6 degrees of freedom, the fact that you can physically move your body around and it tracks extremely well, to me, that's still amazing as well. The last thing I wanted to mention was I finished rereading the book called VRX, and let me just pull this up real quick. So let me do Amazon. This one. So for many people, myself included, the pandemic has really affected people's ability to maintain high levels of productivity, to be socially engaged, to be operating at your best efficiency. And to that end, I've been extremely interested in mental health applications using virtual reality technologies. This book goes into a lot of those types of things, and the tagline is how virtual therapeutics will revolutionize medicine. This is written by Dr. Brennan Spiegel. He runs Cedar Sinai in LA, and he's been able to do a lot of neat, cool things using virtual reality for pain, for phobias, for anxiety, for depression, lots of different things. So I'm really interested in seeing a lot of non-gaming applications of virtual reality technologies and how those can be used to help people. Just right up front, virtual reality will never replace good counseling, a good therapist, a well-trained, seasoned professional, but it can provide a new tool in a professional's toolbox to help patients in a cost affordable way, especially with regards to pain meds, opioid addiction, and things like that. So that is something else that I'd like to engage other folks. And I don't know, many of you know, but the Anschutz Center is the National Center for Mental Health using virtual reality. I've had discussions with them in the past, and then the pandemic hit, and things just kind of closed down. But at some point, I think it'd be great if we could re-engage that organization in addition to other organizations, and see what's what. I mean, we have a lot of great folks in our organization, in COVAR, this meetup group, that has the technical skills that could work with some of these mental health professionals. So any questions or comments on that before we wrap it up? All right, with that, again, appreciate everyone coming tonight. I'll go ahead and stop recording. Or stop recording.